just feels like, yeah, I'm in an inescapable rut. I'm sinking, I'm clawing my way out, and it's not really working. Honestly, I don't know why, but I feel very vulnerable sharing this information. I would like to go out to my balcony in the morning, but don't judge me. It's like a chaotic mess. I'll show you, but like I said, please don't judge. Just tend to go overboard with buying supplements instead of focusing on what are the actual fundamental issues like sleep, hydration, good nutrition. Okay, so the DEXA scan results are in. Hi, welcome to the channel. My name is Ashley Murray, and I need to change my life. I don't know if you're like me and you've seen all these videos on YouTube, like the 6 months to change your life, an experiment, no plan B journey, even just like, I'm gonna change your life in 4 hours, I'm gonna blow up it in 2 weeks. And while I find all of this content interesting and inspiring, I realize that it doesn't necessarily apply to me because I have a really hard time creating habits. I feel like I am not a 75 hard type of girly, if you will. I'm a 75 soft type of girly. And so that's when I was thinking, maybe I need to individualize this to something that's more suitable for my own goals. And maybe I can take this concept and change it and customize it so that I can use it to create some fundamental change in my own life. And that's where, from the crypts of my mind, probably from like Psych 101, came this idea of using Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you haven't heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's essentially this motivational theory created by psychologist Abraham Maslow, where he plotted out human motivation on a pyramid where he put your basic psychological needs at the very bottom, and at the very top was self-actualization, which is essentially becoming the best, most realized version of yourself. And so I thought, why not try to do a journey to change my life where I plotted out using that hierarchy, and in the first 6 months tackle those like essential fundamental parts of human motivation, so then I can continue on until I do hopefully one day reach some sort of self-actualization. And that's why we're here now. So in the next 6 months, I'll basically be using Maslow's hierarchy of needs to create some fundamental changes that I will be talking about throughout the rest of this video. But I also kind of want to talk about why it is that I feel like I do need to change my life. So a major factor in why I need to desperately change my life is because I, Ashley Marie, am a chronic procrastinator. I have been this way ever since I can remember. Even early childhood memories of me doing my homework in the car or even in the class before the assignment was due, and just always doing everything at the very last minute. And honestly, it's a stressful life to lead, and I never liked doing it, but I just always found myself in that position endlessly. And when you live your life like that and you continue being a procrastinator through your childhood, adolescence, adulthood, it just begins to take a toll on you. And it's not a great feeling to always be full of panic and anxiety and rushing to do things at the last minute. And so I think I just come to a point where I've just sort of had enough. And also, when you are a chronic procrastinator, eventually, when you look back at your life, you'll realize how many decisions you didn't really make or were made for you because you've become a passive passenger in your own life. And as you wait to do things in the last minute or even to make any decisions, sometimes not making any at all, life has a way of deciding things for you. And because you're always controlled by a crippling fear and panic, you just sort of fall into things without having any like volition, I suppose, of your own. And I would just like to stop doing that. And I don't know what I think it for me, it definitely stems from a place of fear of failure, perfectionism. And I also learned through listening to podcasts and reading books. I'm not sure if you're aware, there's a procrastination researcher. I think his name is Timothy Pitchell. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the last name correctly, but he worked at the University of Ottawa. I used to listen to his podcast all the time called I Procrastinate, and that's kind of where I learned that a lot of the reasons, because for me it was not necessarily an organizational issue, and I learned that a lot of the reasons that I procrastinate, in particular, have to do with emotional regulation and not being able to regulate my own emotions. And so I think learning that kind of helped me eventually become a bit better at doing things, but I'm not where I'd like to be. And yeah, a major reason why I feel that I'm kind of in a rut and in a stage of life where I'm not necessarily pleased with how things are going is due to my chronic procrastination in the past. Another reason why I desperately, in my opinion, need to change my life is my low self esteem. I don't feel like I'm saying this the most convoluted way possible. I just don't feel very good about myself. I don't think very highly of myself. I don't have very high self esteem, self efficacy, or self confidence. And that's a major reason why I think I need to really focus and try to make some fundamental changes, because it's just not a great feeling to not have any self esteem. And it's been this way for a while. I almost forget what it is to, I don't know, like things about myself. Yeah, it's just been a while since I was really, well, I don't want it to be too sad, but I just feel like it's been a while since I've been proud of anything. And a lot of that is inner work, but I also feel like you get a sense of self-efficacy and self-esteem and accomplishment from accomplishing things and doing things. And that's what this whole 6 month journey and beyond will be about. Another reason why I feel that I do need to really change my life in these next 6 months is my poor mental health. I've had anxiety and depression for a very long time. Anxiety ever since I can remember, and depression, I'd say probably just like post puberty. And it's really taken a toll on my life, especially lately. I just really feel like I'm in a rut. It's even just given the context of the economy and just like everything happening in the world, like everything combined, it just feels like, yeah, I'm in an inescapable rut. I'm sinking, clawing my way out, and it's not really working. And I just need to focus in and try to create some sort of fundamental change. And I've just been really unhappy and have felt not very fulfilled, and that my life is like shrinking instead of expanding. And I just miss, or would like to know what it is like to approach good mental health. I do have a therapist that I see regularly, and I have tried a lot of different approaches in the past. And I think I just need to keep building on those approaches and try to make positive changes that I know from research and just from like listening to different experts talk about anxiety and depression that do have a positive impact. Like even things just like healthy lifestyle changes, nutrition, exercise, like those are all impactful in terms of mood, not necessarily the be all end all, but can help. And I think why not try to help myself in any way that I possibly can. So, yes, part of the reason why I am going on this journey is to help with my anxiety and depression. So, the final reason why I really need to lock in and change my life is that I just miss the feeling of being disciplined. I miss that feeling of when you're really in the zone and you're doing all the things that you said you would do. You know, you're treating yourself with self-respect and you're just in the zone. Do you know what I mean? And I've had different points in my life where I felt like, wow, I'm really doing it. I'm giving it my all, and right now I'm not in one of those points. I would like to transition to doing that and really feeling like I'm putting my best foot forward. It's not necessarily about like hustle culture or productivity culture. It's just like doing the things that you said that you would do and fulfilling promises that you made to yourself and treating yourself like you're someone worthy of working hard to achieve the goals that you set for yourself. Those goals don't have to be anything like extremely strenuous or extraordinary, but you do have to respect your own word and try your best to fulfill those goals. And I don't feel like I've been doing that for a long time. And like I said, I just miss showing up for myself. I will do a quick recap for those who probably did not watch my first video. For the next 6 months, I'll be using Maslow's hierarchy of needs to structure my goal setting. But for the first 2 to 3 months, I'm just focusing on that first level, the physiological needs, and that includes things like food, water, sleep, shelter, clothing, those basic needs that you'd need like on a desert island or something like that. So some of those habits and tasks might include eating whole foods with every meal, like taking my iron supplements, taking vitamin D, drinking enough water. So it's like those basic things like that. And then after I've sort of addressed those baser physiological needs, I'm going to move to the next level, which is safety and security. And because there's so much within this level, including like financial security, I'm kind of leaving that a bit for the future. And I'll just be focusing on essentially my mental and physical health. So that's including tasks like walking at least 8,000 steps per day and meditating 10 minutes a day, things like that. So for the rest of this video, we're kind of focusing on just the physiological needs and my starting point there. Okay, so if you're not familiar with a DEXA scan, I'm going to be looking this way a little bit just to make sure I'm getting the facts right. But a DEXA scan is a dual energy X-ray absorptiometry scan. It's a quick low dose X-ray that measures bone mineral density to check bone strength and also body composition. I am actually interested in both because I have a lot of joint pain and I'm getting older, so I'm just want to stay on top of osteoporosis, osteopenia, anything like that, just because I know that can be a factor in women's health when aging. And then for the body composition, it's showing you percentages of body fat, lean muscle, lean muscle mass, and bone density. So I don't know, in the context of this challenge, I think it'll be really interesting to have those numbers, and I'm excited to see how it goes. It should only be about 15 minutes. I'll see if I can get some footage, but you know, I am an awkward person, so we'll see. Maybe I'll just like sneak some shots, or I don't know. I'm not mentally prepared to handle that yet, but here we go. Okay, so I've just got off the bus and I think it's about another 15-minute walk from here. I don't really know where I am, but I'm sure I will figure it out. Okay, so I just got back from getting my DEXA scan done, and honestly, it was pretty fast and easy, and a really nice experience. I really liked the clinic, it felt like it was more geared towards probably like rehab and sports performance. And I'll be glad to go there again in 6 months to get the follow up results. The results have not come in yet, and the technician did tell me it should either be by the end of the day today or tomorrow. But as soon as those come in, I will relay that information to you. But for now, I'm just going to take my measurements. So I'll be measuring, I have it written down here. I'll be measuring my bicep, chest, hips, neck, waist, and thigh. And I think these are based on what's in the Lose It app, because I've just kind of been using that to track everything like water, calories, macros, etc. And that kind of links to all of the iPhone health app information. But I also like to just have things written down. So go ahead and take my measurements. And for my weight, actually, she took it at the DEXA scan clinic, and I was at 197.7 pounds. But I was on their scale. And the DEXA machine itself, I think it also takes a separate weight. So I don't know. I'll see what that says and probably just use that weight as well. But let's get going. I lost my measuring tape. I have to remember to wear the same bra next time. Okay, so I kind of want to follow up on the measurements you just saw me take. Honestly, I don't know why, but I feel very vulnerable sharing this information. Yeah, sorry, if I'm looking this way because the presentation is over here, and I just want to make sure that I'm giving you accurate information that I've recorded. But yeah, like I was saying, I was feeling a little bit more vulnerable, and I don't know if I'll even keep this in, but maybe it is good to help others contextualize their own journeys. But anyway, let me just dive into it. So my biceps were 13.5 inches, my chest 42.5 inches, my hips 43 inches, my neck 14.5 inches, my waist 38 inches, and my thighs 24. Sorry, my thigh, that's one thigh, was 24.5 inches. I think the measurements that I'm sort of most concerned or weary of, it would be the neck, because I think it is, the threshold is either 13 or 14 inches, where you then have sleep apnea, which I do have, and I don't like using my CPAP machine. That's why it's been hard for me to establish that habit. And so I really want to get that neck measurement down, and then obviously the waist, because usually that's where visceral fat is stored, which is a more dangerous fat around your organs. It's just my health anxiety. I want to make sure that I don't have as much fat in that area. So those are kind of the two measurements that I'm keeping more of an eye on than the others, to be honest. And so I know BMI is a controversial measurement, but this information, my body mass index, that will be in addition to a DEXA scan. So that's going to provide more accurate information and sort of contextualize. My current BMI is 31.8. And then I also would like to track my resting heart rate. So right now, it's an average of 68 beats per minute over 26 weeks. And so your resting heart rate is the number of times your heart beats per minute while you're completely at rest. And it indicates your heart's pumping efficiency and overall cardiovascular fitness. So this falls within the normal range for me, but I'll be interested to see where it goes. Like maybe I could become an elite athlete or something where my resting heart rate's at 50. Like that would be kind of crazy. Okay, so the personal fat threshold. I just want to contextualize the rest of this data by just mentioning, I'm sure I mentioned it before, that I did this program called Lifestyle RX. It was over 12 weeks, and it was touching on all of these different points of a healthy lifestyle, including stress management, sleep, nutrition, exercise, like your social life. And so I did finish that program, and then I'm taking a lot of metrics from that program. but I'm not sponsored. It was well, kind of like free, but my Ontario health insurance plan that we all pay into as like Canadian or Ontario residents, that's what covered it. And so I was so grateful to be able to participate in it. I thought it was a great program. I'm not sure. I think that it is available in the US as well. I highly recommend, but specifically like the iteration that I have. I don't know how other groups are running their program. So I'm like, I'm not, I'd recommend based on my specific experience, but others might have different experiences essentially. But they talk about this idea of a personal fat threshold. And so each of us has a limited capacity to store fat safely. And then when you exceed your personal fat threshold, it spills over and it goes into places we don't want, essentially, like I was mentioning before, fat belly fat. And so I have exceeded that threshold. All of this information is from when I first started the program. And so I think that's 39 inches. So I have lost an inch in my waist, which is really good. But I do want to also say that, yeah, a lot of this data that I'm going to talk about is from like February or March, and I will have another update coming soon. So I wanted to have some information ready, and I'm sure in episode 2, I'll revisit once I've gotten that new information in. So my fatty liver index, it's talking about your risk of fatty liver disease, and I'm at 46, which is intermediate. I actually did used to have a mildly fatty liver, and that went away on its own, which is good, but I would like to bring this metric down as well. And mild insulin resistance, and my score was 1.65, so that indicated that my insulin resistance was 1.65 times higher than normal, which I actually found this kind to be a little bit shocking because I have every single symptom of PMOS, which is essentially driven by insulin resistance. And I just was like, it's only mild. Like, damn, it's wreaking havoc on my life. But regardless, I will have to manage this metric as well. My pancreatic capacity. So this is showing my beta cell function, essentially how hard my pancreas is working to keep those insulin levels in check. And it's at 137%. So I need to manage those lifestyle factors, especially like my sugar intake to help out my poor overworked pancreas. My blood sugar was in the normal range, 5.2. I was at low risk for chronic inflammation, but interestingly enough, I have a lot of symptoms of inflammation. So that makes me think like maybe it is just acute inflammation based on things that I'm consuming. And then my thyroid function was normal, so that's great. And so these wellness quotients are based on the assessment form that they had us fill out. And then these are kind of just based on my responses. And I was as honest as I could be. And so, yeah, my gut health, not great. My nutrition, so so. Metabolic flexibility, also so so. I don't remember what this detoxification metric is referring to. I remember they asked us about our reactions to scents, and I am like very hypersensitive to things around me, and so like maybe that has something to do with detoxification, maybe something that I need to look more into. I just talked about my inflammation, exercise, so aerobic capacity. So I think the only thing that wasn't so was harmful substances, because I don't partake in anything. Like I'm pretty straight and narrow. The only thing I think I consume on a regular basis that's a harmful substance would be ultra processed foods. Not like on a regular basis anymore, but I definitely used to, as well as Coke Zero for sure. I think that's actually controversial to say that. I won't say it's like a harmful substance. I'll say that it disrupts my microbiome and the effects are causal and obvious. That makes sense. And then for sleep, yeah, not doing so well there. The rest of these are kind of sad. I know I have an issue with stress resilience and stress tolerance. Like it's like my body just can't handle stress very well, which is not great. But I was reading, or no, I watched a video about how the more you exercise, the more that will increase your body's ability to handle stress. And what a great way to get someone like me who like who buckles easily to exercise more. So that was an exciting piece of data to learn about. And then I mentioned my mental health is not great. Relationships, I tend to self isolate. Purpose, I spoke of my floundering. Yeah, so that was kind of the basic metrics that I have. This is not including the DEXA scan data, waiting for that to come in. But that's all for now. We'll see you soon. Oh my god, why do I feel like I'm about to do a middle school science experiment or something? Maybe I get some like water and I get a sound out of this? No, okay, probably not enough water. But anyway, a large part of the physiological needs component of this challenge is hydration and getting enough water. My friends, for some reason, I just don't drink enough water. I don't know how I could ignore such like a basic physiological need that you literally need to survive on this earth, but I do. I always have the thought, maybe I should get some water. Maybe I need to drink a glass of water. I think I'm a little thirsty. And then in like 2 minutes, totally forgotten, but not anymore. I need to stay on top of my water habits and make sure that I'm hydrated enough. Lucky for me, I do actually like drinking water. I know there's some people who don't like the taste of water and would prefer to drink like Coke all day or whatever. Not that I wouldn't mind, but I do like water as well, which is nice. Essentially, my plan is to drink 3 of these per day. At first, my brother got me this huge water bottle. Actually, I'll go grab it now. Look how big this thing is. But I just find that when it's so filling it is a chore, first of all, and then also drinking from it, it's just very heavy and not as practical as I thought. I do know some people prefer to kind of like carry around this much water with them all the time, and I'm really happy that he got it for me, and sometimes it's useful, but for this challenge, and I've just noticed in general, I really like drinking from glass containers. And I feel when you're trying to change and establish habits, it's important to create parts of the routine that you like and that sort of already mesh with your lifestyle. And for me, I don't know, it's just like a little thing that I like and that makes it easier. In terms of tracking my hydration, I already use this app called Lucid, and it has a feature to track your water. So I think I'm just going to stick with that. And in terms of reminders, I don't want to get like a whole other app for just water. So I think I'm just going to set 3 reminders on my phone. And then my plan is to always just kind of have one of these with me, especially when I'm working from home. When I work from the office, I think that's going to be another story. Gonna have to think on that a little bit more and create some sort of strategy, because I don't like drinking. This is gonna sound really stupid, but like the water jug, the water that comes out is too cold, and I don't like drinking like ice cold water. I like it to be like maybe a little cold, room temperature. And so I go get my water. Then I'm like, well, maybe I'll let it sit for a little bit. And then again, I forget. I don't know why my mind's like that, but I'm constantly like, ah. Yeah, maybe I set up a few reminders on my phone and see how it goes. But the whole point of this section is that I am crispy, I'm dry, I'm arid, and I need to drink some water. You know I love a good costume change, but this is the part where I'm going to be talking about sleep. I am, I've got to be like the world's worst sleeper. I used to even have sleep paralysis. You know, that thing where you feel like something's like crushing you and smashing you into your bed and you can't breathe, and you can kind of see like a dark figure hovering over you. And then it's like your mind is awake, but your body's asleep, and then you just can't get up, and you're like, oh, please wake up, wake up. It's honestly a terrible experience, and I usually get that when I'm very stressed out. And I haven't had it in a while, which is really nice. But I am now waking up around 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what's up with that. I also have created what I think might be like an anti night routine. I don't know. I feel like everything about my lifestyle right now does not help me go to sleep. I have a habit of listening to YouTube videos or being on my phone to the point where now when I try to break that habit and not have my phone, it takes me like hours to fall asleep because I'm just so used to it. But I don't think it's good for sleep quality. I've recently started taking melatonin, but probably too much because I'm like, oh, I really kind of like these. They're kind of like a nice fruity gummy candy. But I've been reading how that's not great for you either. You don't want to take too much, so I've dialed it back. But I think there are various habits and tasks around sleep that will help me, and I think I will have like a dedicated experiment, a challenge episode dedicated just to sleep. But one major habit that I need to address that I hate addressing is my sleep apnea. I did have a sleep study a few years back. I have mild apnea, but it's enough that they recommended I get a CPAP machine. And I have not been the best at using this thing because I actually just don't like it. I feel like a little bit claustrophobic and trapped using it, but when I do, I feel so much more well rested. So I know it's good for me and I just need to do it. So it's not too big, and I actually ended up having to get get these little guards for this plastic part because if I wear this without, let me see if I can find it. Here they are. If I wear this without like a little cotton cover, I just put this around, I'll get acne like all over my nose, probably because I have extremely oily skin and I don't know what this material is, but creating like a non-breathable area where just like bacteria can fester, which is not great. But yeah, that's basically it's not a complicated goal. I just need to make sure I fill the tank with water so the air's not too dry, distilled water, and I need to put it on before I go to bed. I don't know why it's such a maybe I need to think about like how can I reduce the resistance in this activity, but it's so simple yet it's going to have such a profound impact on my energy levels. I simply just need to do it. Okay, and then another habit that I'm working on that's tied to sleep is having consistent bedtimes and like consistent wake up times. So right now, because I start work so early, I typically wake up around like 5:45 when I have to go into the office, or 5:40ish. So I think I want that to be my consistent wake up time, which means that I'm going to sleep probably yeah like around 9:30, 9:45ish. And I think to help me shift that, I'm going to be using, I mentioned before, I'm going to be using these melatonin, but just one. And I noticed that they did change the milligrams per gummy. Maybe they read the same study that I did. I've seen gummies that were like 10 milligrams each or something ridiculous. Nobody needs that much melatonin. It's too much melatonin. Does anyone remember that kid's book where that he doesn't want to go to bed? I think it's like Mortimer. I think it's like a Robert Munch book. Canadians know, but like he doesn't want to go to bed and he's like rang blang crowd bang bang gonna make my noise all day. I don't know if anyone knows what we're talking about. Maybe I'll put like a clip here, but that's me. I just never want to go to sleep. I delay bedtime like I'm a child and it needs to stop. And I saw another video talking about why people do that. And it's like you're trying to get back the time that is out of your control, taken up by like your 9 to 5 per se. So then you get home and you want to reclaim your life essentially. So then you put off going to sleep, you don't get enough sleep, and then the cycle just continues. And then I also on Sunday, I heard people refer to it as like the Sunday scaries. I also just stay up late because I'm just anxious about work. So these are all the factors that kind of prevent me from having a consistent bedtime and wake up time. I think if I get this, it can give me more time to do other things. Because right now I feel like sometimes, especially on the weekends and the middle of the day, I'm like, I need to take a nap. I'm so tired, which is fine. But I would just like to have a consistent routine and feel energized and well rested. I rarely do. But it's another one of those things where it's kind of like you gotta stop using your phone. I actually bought a little basket to put my phone in that's a little away from my bed, and then I'll have to actually use this. I have this light alarm clock that I never use. Fundamentally, it's I just need to commit to not having my phone in my bed, using my CPAP machine, going to sleep at a reasonable hour. And I think like resetting my circadian rhythm and shifting my bedtime, I think melatonin will actually help a lot with that because usually that's kind of what people use for jet lag. So I'm sort of treating this in the same way. Okay, so another aspect of sort of restoring your circadian rhythm is kind of using light therapy. And honestly, I would like to go to my balcony in the morning, but don't judge me. It's like a chaotic mess. I'll show you, but like I said, please don't judge. Essentially, when I moved into this apartment, I was finishing school and I was also working 9 to 5. So I was doing school full time and working full time. And I just did not have time to do anything really with this apartment, but at least you'll get to see it now. But the balcony has been kind of crazy. It's also been overtaken by pigeons. I'd let my landlord know, but I guess it's not their jurisdiction essentially. I did buy some pigeon supplies and whatnot. Maybe I'll show those to you. Try to find them. Yeah, so I got this netting. I feel like and I also got these like some these pigeon spikes or whatever they are. But honestly, I'm like, this stuff looks so flimsy. You know, I was gonna get it on Amazon, but then I saw on Temu that they looked exactly the same, but maybe they weren't. Maybe they weren't. Don't yeah, like I said, don't judge. Don't judge. I'm gonna fix it up. But yeah, it's not great. Yeah. But anyway, I also have this called a happy. Let me see if I can unplug. It's called a happy light. I got one for my mom, and I thought I'd get one as well. But honestly, like I said, I get all these tools, and then I never use them. But this is supposed to help with seasonal affective disorder because when winter comes, I really do get depressed and sad, and I think that this kind of will hopefully help me maintain my sleep routine and wake routine in the winter. Honestly, in Canada, even in the fall as well. I think it gets dark in the morning. I feel like late October, November, starting then. So I'm thinking if I keep using this, or I mean start using this, hopefully that will help with my circadian rhythm and energy levels in the morning. I'm about to go for a walk and I realized that I didn't even show you the brightness levels and like the settings of the happy light, and I think it might be interesting to look at, so I'm just gonna do that now. Okay, so like take a look at this, huh? Turn it on here. Oh, so bright. You can change. Turn it off for a sec. You can change like the the tone and then the brightness. And I think this lets you set a timer, but I've never actually used that setting. But yeah, so see, like cool, then warm, and then ooh, brighter, brighter. Not as bright. Yeah, pretty cool. Another sleep related habit that I want to address is I kind of talked about it before is to avoid blue light. I think at least an hour before bed. Yeah, I think like at least a couple of hours before sleep so it doesn't interrupt your sleep quality, right? I definitely need to do more research and I am going to have like an episode totally devoted to sleep, but as I was kind of doing some googling around, I found this website where this I think this guy was just sort of comparing different blue light blocking glasses, and he found that the Infield's Terminator UV 400 safety glasses for blue light, they were the cheapest and most effective. Unfortunately, I couldn't find them in Canada. I see ones that are similar, but the fact that he specifically tested them, when you read reviews like that, you're like, I need that one. I don't want any other of your riffraff, your poor quality. Now I'm a blue light glasses connoisseur, and those are the ones that I want. So I'm hopefully in time for that episode. I'm gonna find those blue light glasses, and I'm gonna obviously stop using my phone and very much limit my screen time before bed. Okay, so another sleep related habit is not having caffeine after 11 a.m. I actually don't feel like this is going to be a challenging one for me just because I don't really drink a lot of coffee. I mostly am like a green tea drinker, and I have no problem just doing that in the morning. It doesn't feel very addicting at all, probably because of the L-theanine. I don't know, but fun fact, I didn't realize that Coke Zero has caffeine. I'm sure you all knew, but not me. And so, because the other day I was like perusing the grocery store and I noticed,
hey, that there's a zero sugar, zero caffeine Coke Zero available. That means that all of the Coke Zero that I've been drinking also has caffeine. And I was kind of wondering, why do I like sometimes feel anxious out of nowhere?
now it seems so obvious. Yeah, for me, I don't think this is going to be challenging at all. No caffeine past 11. Just keep my green teas to the morning, essentially. Okay, so I did forget to mention another sleep related task slash habit, and that is making sure that my apartment is the optimal temperature for sleeping at night. And at first, I thought this was going to be pretty easy. Just turn on my air conditioner, but I don't have central air in this apartment. I just have one of those ones that you hook up to your window. And when I tested using my little thermometer gun, even with that on all day, by the time it's night, it's still around like 27 degrees. Yeah, 27 degrees in here, which for me, I didn't even notice it's not too bad. Obviously, not that cold, but the optimal temperature for your bedroom at night that I just read is in Celsius, it's 15.6 degrees Celsius to 19.4 degrees Celsius, and that's 60 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit. So quite a ways off. I'm thinking maybe I'll need to get another one, but is that in the budget right now? I don't think so. So we'll have to mull that over. But my sleep is so awful that I would like to do everything I can to help optimize that. So we'll see if I can create a little slush fund for the cold temp. So yeah, as I was saying, it's right near my window, and by my desk, you can see this sort of random MacGyver setup I have because it didn't quite fit. I just shoved like an old sweater with some tape, and it actually works really well. Obviously, not a handy person, but yeah, instead of having it here, I think I'll move it over to here or get another tiny one to put over here. But honestly, like, who has the money for that? I'm really trying to not spend as much, kind of having to resort to austerity measures right now. So we'll see. But regardless, I am going to reduce the temperature of this studio apartment at night. I don't know what it is, but when I get home, the first thing I want to do is just take off my coat, put away my purse, and just throw everything on the floor. And I know that obviously that's not something you should do as a responsible adult, but it's just like this overwhelming urge to be like, I'm free, I'm done. Let me cast everything off to the side. Let me throw away the chains and enjoy my evening. I don't actually know what the logic is. I just know that I need to stop because I feel like I am constantly cleaning, and it takes up more time than I think it does for most people. And it's just a huge disaster. And I get home, and then about 45 minutes to an hour of my evening, which is already precious limited time, cleaning. And then this is happening almost every day. Like, this can't be normal. I need to start putting things away as I go and learning just to clean up after myself before it becomes a huge disaster mess. As part of this part of the challenge, I would like to declutter this apartment. I kind of have already started and I got like a little pile going, but I'd really like to get rid of a lot of things. I don't really have a lot to get rid of, to be honest, but I'm sure with a more discerning eye and even help from you, maybe I can find things that I can give. There's a free store near my workplace or even like thrift stores. I don't need all of this stuff. So I'm going to do like a huge decluttering and a deep clean. And then I'm going to start implementing the habit of just, especially when cooking dinner, my God, after I'm done that, it's a disaster. But like putting things away as I go, cleaning as I go, so that everything becomes more manageable. And I don't even know how I managed to, you know what, I think it is also because it's a small apartment, but I don't know how I managed to always make such a chaotic disaster mess. But I'll give you like the quickest apartment tour because it's so tiny. And then you'll see that it shouldn't take that long to clean, but it does. Watch, you ready for the world's quickest apartment tour? Just like a 360 turn. That's the apartment. Okay, so it looks like we're back with another middle school experiment. And this time I want to talk about supplementation. So I have a long history with supplements and using them as sort of like a quick fix it all. I just tend to see like a lot of posts on Reddit, different forums talking about how this one product radically changed their lives, and that is a very attractive idea. Wouldn't it be nice if we could just have some sort of pill or beauty product, serum, tonic, whatever it is, just one thing that will be the thing to change our lives? But sadly, honestly, it's usually not the case. And to change your life in a radical, fundamental way takes several things that maybe can't necessarily be found in a bottle. I kind of alluded to this idea, and I did this skit for my very first video about this product, like this fake product called Fix It All. And just essentially that idea that like there is no one quick fix solution, and then it will take like a series of steps and earnest effort towards your goal that it could take 6 months and even longer than that. It's a lifetime journey. But anyway, I just wanted to show you like some of the random supplements that I've purchased that didn't really work well for me, but maybe it does work for you. That's fine. I didn't throw these ones out or like give them away because I felt like maybe one day they'll work. I was like holding on hope. But the ones that like really had no place, I did go through those like maybe a couple months back. But for example, I got like Go To Cola. I don't even remember why I got that one. MSM, this powder. This was for joint pain, I believe, which I'm still dealing with. Pycnogenol, I think probably got that for skin health. Rosemary extract, I think I remember something to do with like dopamine or energy or something. Berberine, PCOS related. This is a Chinese medicine one. It's the English name's called Gynosure, probably something gynecological. Don't quite remember actually. This is Omega Women with Evening Primrose Oil. I felt like this gave me a headache, but I couldn't be sure, which is why I didn't toss it. Taurine, CoQ10, only trace minerals. Like some of the stuff is fine. It's just like you don't want to be taking that many supplements. I don't want to be overloading myself. Like fenugreek, another PCOS related one. Cranberry extract. But as you can see, I just tend to go overboard with buying supplements instead of focusing on what are the actual fundamental issues like sleep, hydration, good nutrition, and those sort of like healthy lifestyle foundational necessities that like maybe yeah we can get to like the cool like sexy biohacking stuff in the future, but for now I think it's more important to just sort of concentrate on those fundamental changes. That being said, I do have supplements that I am going to take that have more to do with nutritional deficiencies, so let's get more into those. I did have a recent blood test, and turns out I am anemic. I actually did know that in the past, but I've always kind of been borderline. I guess recently I kind of just like dipped below that threshold. So I will be taking iron. This one's Ferromax. It's one that the doctor that I saw during the time that I was in the Lifestyle RX program, he recommended. And I actually usually have a hard time tolerating iron, but this one was actually pretty good. It didn't really make me feel sick, so I'm pleasantly surprised. I'll continue taking that. It's almost done. I'll have to get another. Got like vitamin D. That's also pretty typical. A lot of Canadians probably low on vitamin D. I take this vitamin C to help with the iron absorption. I've got this basic hydrolyte electrolyte. I really like this one. However, I will not be repurchasing because I found this recipe to make electrolytes at home, and honestly I'm trying to save money any way that I can, so better to just do it at home than have to, which I think is fairly expensive, so better to do it at home than have to buy something else. Astaxanthin, I know this is not completely necessary, but I think it does help a lot with my hair and skin. I really noticed a difference, and because now vitamins has the 4 milligram one for fairly cheap, I think I will continue to keep getting it. It's just basic magnesium citrate, very helpful for sleep. This Calm Pro L-theanine, it's done now. I usually take it as needed, and it helps with anxiety. However, it is very expensive. Like I said, I'm trying not to spend too much money, but we'll see if I repurchase it. But then this, yeah, I just kind of take it here and there, not necessarily part of a specific routine. Flaxseed oil, this is like a potent anti-inflammatory, and honestly, I think that it has noticeable health effects in terms of helping with inflammation. I don't know, because I'm also going to be taking fish oil, which is kind of similar. I don't know if I'll keep getting this, but honestly, I just think that black seed oil is so powerful in terms of health. Like, oh, I really do want to repurchase. We'll see. Maybe I'll get a part-time job or something. Can't afford anything. My God. Oh, yeah, that's it. Oh no, that's not it. Sorry. And then ginger. Ginger I usually take in the evenings with dinner just to help with digestion. I don't know if I'll get this either because I think instead I am just gonna get some ginger to the grocery store and make some ginger tea. I don't know if I need to be specifically getting ginger capsules, but that's all. Honestly, seems like a kind of a lot, but as you saw, way less than I was trying to fit in before. I think we keep it simple, keep it light, address those basic issues, and then go from there. I think I'm gonna get ready to go to the grocery store, and then I'll talk a little bit more about how I'm gonna be changing up my diet. Just so you can see what we're dealing with. Like I got some Greek. I think that needs to go in the garbage. I don't know about this baba ganoush. I don't know. I don't even like it. I don't know if I'll keep it. And then sweet potato, blackberries, some eggs. We got like nothing in here really. I'm gonna keep like most of the pantry items here. I got some popcorn and rolled oats, sardines. Well, not bad, not bad. What do I got in here? I don't even know. This is like supplement stuff and like tea. This is all tea labeled in little baggies. Just, I love tea. And this is like the extra tea when there's no room in, when there is room in these baggies, I'll put them in here eventually. But then my spices and stuff, and then you saw supplements already. But yeah, so obviously I really need to go grocery shopping. Ooh, I got some vegetables, huh? Oh, my little jade roller. What is this? And some frozen. Do you know how old these frozen berries are? My God, I'm still gonna use them. Okay, so I've got my grocery list. I just wrote it out. I'm gonna put it in my bag. I like to bring a backpack to the grocery store as well. In like my little cart. So I think it's probably gonna take me an hour trying to do a pretty big haul, so then I don't have to go back for a while. But let's go. Ooh. All right, I'm back. Let's put this stuff away. Okay, I'll show you all the stuff that I got. Maybe let's look at the total. All right. One grocery store I spent $89.03. And then I spent another $19.65. So that's gonna be, oh, let's see. It was like $109.68. That's terrible math. I think it's 109.68. Is that right? 108.68. Which I don't know. I guess that's not bad. You tell me. I'll show you the amount of stuff I got, and I think that's okay. I mean, a lot of the stuff I got was on sale. Considering how expensive everything is now, honestly, and hopefully this will last me. I'm thinking 2 weeks. I might have to go on like a little trip, but we'll see. Got more eggs, sweet potato, lobster flavored crab. I don't know if this counts as a whole food, to be honest. Green onion, frozen Brussels sprouts. I actually love Brussels sprouts, surprisingly. I do have a problem with sugar, but honestly, everything in moderation, right? I did get for share. Just love them. And some bubble gum. Chives. More chives. I love dried chives. Mushroom. Smoked salmon. Grape tomato. Strawberries. Sunflower seeds. Kale. Some lemons. You know I love lemon water. Let's see what I got here. Some green banana, like cooking bananas. Bell pepper. Avocado. It's like a frozen Thai vegetable mix. Some frozen broccoli. Honestly, I did want to get just like fresh broccoli, but it was too expensive, and I just thought it was weirdly expensive. Kiwi was on sale, and you know what? I didn't realize, but kiwi is actually pretty low sugar, and I really like them, and it's not going to sort of like exacerbate my PMOS or like my pre-diabetes. So I think that's a pretty good pick. Shrimp. These are sole fillets of fish. I do love fish. Chicken thighs. I mostly just eat chicken, like poultry and seafood. I try to stay away from red meat for the most part, but you know, like I said, everything in moderation. Carrots. And I got a whole ass chicken. One of those pre-cooked ones, because honestly it comes in handy, especially like after work. I'm so tired, I don't really want to cook anything. I can sort of just like heat up some of this chicken. So overall I think I did pretty good. I think that was a good haul. So I'm trying to get as much protein, fiber, micronutrients as possible. But that's not necessarily cutting out all of the processed foods. But as I move along, especially into like the second half of the 6 month period, I am going to be trying the it's the autoimmune protocol diet, and that is very strict. There will be no processed foods at all. I don't think you can have eggs. That is not really to do with weight loss. It's more to do with you having an immune issue, which I think I am. But if it's changes I make now, like maybe general lifestyle changes, I'll have to do the AIP protocol, because I feel like it is pretty restrictive. But I'm also looking to have it under gut reset, because it's like everything like you don't eat little foods. And I'm getting like genetic like blood credit, blood credit, and just some out of him. And I thought he was like really insistent or something, it wasn't. And I was like a tester, and oh my god, long story short, I will be trying the AIP protocol, but first I'm doing like an 80-20 whole foods type thing. Part of my goals is weight loss, so I am going to be tracking all of this, and I don't mind tracking in terms of like that's not very restrictive for me, and I more just find it annoying, to be honest, like like tedious and annoying, and that's probably not a reason not to do it. So I think I will. Okay, so the DEXA scan results are in, and they came way faster than I expected. I had the test today around 1 o'clock, and that email came in at 5:01 p.m. with the report. And wow, that's pretty speedy to me, but maybe that is typical. Maybe it's not that intensive of a report to generate, but I am impressed. And I did just want to update based on the information in the DEXA scan report that they had my weight at 197.3 pounds. So I'll just use that as the starting weight now. And then my BMI at, well, that changes my BMI to 31.6. And I guess we'll just start now, like diving into the report. And so they included these images of my body composition summary. And honestly, I removed the one of my like tissue composition because I was like, this is like kind of revealing. It's too scandalous. I don't know if I want to share that. And as I dive deeper into this report, I know it can kind of be dry and maybe not the most interesting thing, but I don't know. I thought the data was interesting to me. Maybe I should include like some kinetic sand or something to keep people engaged. But all of these different health metrics, they provide a detailed picture of my health, and I just like being more informed. However, I'm not sure that this was worth the cost because I know my insurance is not going to cover this, unfortunately. But I'll take on that cost so you can kind of see, hey, what is in a DEXA scan report? I'm not including everything. Like I said, it could be dry and a little boring. I tried to like pull out the most interesting pieces. Hopefully, it's enough to keep people engaged. So my total body has 39.5% body fat. So for women, the average range is between 25 to 31. So I am out of range. I'm not surprised by this. It was expected. It is something I need to work on. And so I mentioned before, my total mass was 197.3 pounds. My lean mass, 112.9 pounds. And then the percentage of lean mass in comparison to the tissue was 57.2%. And I guess the rest was fat. And so this is looking at my visceral fat or my visceral adipose tissue, and my visceral fat mass was 1.74 pounds, which actually is not that bad. The healthy range for visceral fat mass is generally less than 2 pounds. And you can see that I have more subcutaneous fat, 3.83 pounds, than visceral fat. So, you know what, that's not so bad. It's less than I thought. And I was kind of, I don't know, it kind of made me feel a little bit less. I've just always been nervous with any fat in this region. I have a lot of health anxiety, so I think that made me realize like obviously still there's work to do, but not as bad as I thought, which is nice. Oh yeah, and I like just what's on the slide I didn't mention that, yeah, that the reason I'm nervous is because that type of fat is associated with several types of metabolic diseases. Okay, so bone mineral density, that this is where I really shine, and the rest of you weak boned, I'm not I was gonna say the rest of you weak boned bitches need to bow down, but I'm just joking. I didn't actually say that. Yeah, so the bone mineral density, it's comparing your bone mineral density to that of a young adult at their peak bone strength, and that's displayed as my T score. So for me, it's 3.5. You can see like that little dot there. That's where I am at. Someone with elite bone density. And it also compares to people my same age. That's the Z score, same thing, 3.5. So you can see that I'm in rarefied air and better than the rest of you. Essentially, this test is saying that I am a better person than you are. And so bone mineral density measurement units are used to quantify the amount of calcified tissue and minerals, primarily calcium in the bone. And so the units here are grams per square centimeter. So basically, I don't really need to do the rest of this journey. And it turns out that I am actually big boned and not fat. Honestly, as I did more research, I realized that this test is saying like I don't have osteoporosis, but what I was more concerned about was osteoarthritis because I have a lot of joint pain. And research shows that people with osteoarthritis typically have higher than average bone mineral density. So I don't know. I think this is something I need to follow up with my doctor about and talk more about my joint pain. I feel like I brought it up in the past. She just doesn't care. She's so dismissive. But anyway, the main treatment for osteoarthritis that I could see, but I'm sure there's more that I don't know, is like gentle exercise and weight control anyway. So I'm hoping as I reduce that body fat mass and move more to a healthier range that I'll have less joint pain. Fingers crossed. And so like my last slide and honestly I say like slide, I just literally pulled these images from the report, but I just thought it was very interesting that, as you can see, the right side of my body has more mass than the left. Maybe that's to do with just like organ placement and whatnot. I don't know. I thought that was interesting, a little funny. Okay, so I did totally forget to include the resting metabolic rate in my DEXA scan presentation, if you will. When I saw the number, I was kind of disappointed. It's 1,480 calories per day. If you don't know what resting metabolic rate, there's like a little blurb from the report on the screen, but it's the amount of calories you'd burn if you were to do literally nothing but rest. So just lying on your bed all day. So that's the energy needed to maintain body temperature, heartbeat, and respiratory rate. But yeah, so I don't know, when I like look up, let me even look up like what is the typical RMR of the 5'6" woman? So that's in range, 1350 to 1650 per day. I don't know why. I just thought it would be a little higher, but that's okay. And actually makes sense because a lot of the time in the past where I've been trying to lose weight, I realized like I can only really lose weight when I'm walking extensively or I'm cutting calories too much. And when I do like the calculations, that makes sense. I'm thinking maybe the lower metabolic rate, maybe that has to do with having PMOS. I don't know. I'm not interested in like severely restricting anything. And so like the more that I can eat, the better. I'm just like trying to, what I think is a reasonable rate of losing a pound and a half to 2 pounds per week, or even just like a pound. So yeah, this kind of did throw a little bit of a curveball my way, I think. And I'll have to think about it some more in terms of like what makes the most sense. Maybe it is to just lose weight at a slower rate. And if that's the case, then that's fine. So be it. But it is good to know, and I'm not even sure how reliable, because I was looking for what people have said. Some people say ignore this number, focus on the results and what you're seeing when you do choose whatever deficit, or like just base it on that. And that makes sense as well, just basing it on your own personal experience. So we'll see. It's interesting to see this number and have like a definite, well, I'm not going to say definite, but at least something to keep in mind as I'm progressing through this journey. But yeah, overall, I actually was pretty pleasantly surprised with this. I thought that I would have way more visceral fat than I do. And basically, I just need to work on lowering my body fat mass in general. But I think in terms of my metabolic health, obviously that needs to be improved. I need to work on my mild insulin resistance, but I'm pretty hopeful that it's not so far out of range that you're like, oh my god, this is so overwhelming. And even if that it is that case for you, you know what, you just break down your goals, you do a little bit at a time, and you can reverse your like wherever you are in terms of like insulin resistant body fat mass, take it a little bit at a time, and you can take back control of your health essentially. Wow, we've come to the end of the video. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching and engaging with this content. It means the world to me. And this being my only second video, it's amazing if anyone has gotten this far. Also, I did notice as I was watching a lot of this footage back that I tend to say but a lot. I don't know if anyone remembers that from, I think it was How I Met Your Mother, where Robin kept saying that, and I was like, oh my god, I'm Robin. And then I think I say like too much, sort of, essentially, and I am realizing that I need to work. I mean, I already did realize this, but I'm realizing that I do need to work on my communication skills. So yeah, thanks so much for, I'm gonna edit, but thanks so much for making it through that. And just know I'm working on it. And then I noticed that I was touching my face a lot, and that was, I just got a cat, not like just, but like a few months ago, and I never had a cat before except for when I was really young. And but I'm not used to the amount of hair that is everywhere. And now I always feel like I have hair on my face, and then I just like start taking like trying to sometimes there is no hair there, and I'm moving hair from my face that's not there. But I am gonna work on those things just so like it's a more engaging and less annoying viewing experience. But just so you know, I know that I'm being annoying. Sorry, I digress. I just wanted to say that I kind of have some ground rules going into this. Yeah, my ground rules are essentially that there's no starting over. And what I mean by that is I've always kind of suffered, that's a strong word, but like I've always experienced, that last supper syndrome, like, oh, I messed up. I'm gonna start again on Monday. I'm gonna start again on the first of the month or whatever. There's no starting again because this is life and we have to keep going. That means if I have a lapse, I mess up, we got to pick ourselves up again and keep going. Those mistakes, those errors are part of the process. We'll look back, see what happened. Was I not coping with something? Was I too stressed out? What went wrong? And keep on going. And that brings me to the next ground rule, which is going to be cheesy, but if you ever watch The Bear, I just found that this quote, and you know what I'm going to say if you've seen the show, but like the quote that really resonated with me, and I think it was like on a poster in the chef's kitchen or whatever, but like every second counts. And to me that means like we're moving with intentionality, and that every decision, every moment is for something. It counts. There's no throwaway. There's no who cares? I'm not gonna bother engaging with this. I'll just do it tomorrow. No, we're in it. We're focusing. We're all in, and we're going after the things that we want to accomplish. Back at it again. I just wanted to pop in and add to the ground rules. I want to say that another important aspect is flexibility. That is, that if something's not working for you, or I guess specifically for me in this journey, I do reserve the right to change that. For example, if I find that, hey, actually, I sleep way better if the the temperature in the apartment is super hot, then I can change that, and that this is a living guide, a living document. And at any time, if something is not working, you could find a better solution. There's no rigidity here, and we're not being inflexible. The intentionality is in the promise to yourself, and it is not to adhering to something that's unreasonable and harmful to you, or that's not serving you well. So again, flexibility is a huge important component, and I'd say another ground rule. So with those ground rules, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's not going to be any mistakes, and it doesn't even mean that like sometimes maybe I won't be like fully engaged, but it just means that we're gonna keep moving with intentionality, and we're gonna keep going. We're not abandoning ourselves and giving up on the process, essentially. So if you're doing something like this and it gets tough, just remember, you make a mistake, learn from it, and keep going. That doesn't define who you are, or the entire process itself. It's just a mistake, and it's human, and it's totally part of the process. Like I said, thanks so much for watching. I am nervous but excited to go on this journey, and I can't wait to see the progress and what the future holds.